What's going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, where I take off the mask or the veil and I give you the astrological weekly forecast for the week of December 16th through the 22nd of 2015. Wow, everyone, wow. Where do I even start this one off with, huh? Well, first of all, I think we're all ready to get out of 2015, we're almost there, everybody, we're almost there. And we're gonna go really deep in understanding the astrology this week. Now, I might need to take my glasses off for this one because we're gonna actually need to get very deep here, because this is kind of advanced astrology that we're gonna talk about this week. And so I hope you're gonna follow me through this one. First things first, we've come out of a new moon in Sagittarius last week, so we have started the Sagittarius cycle completely now, and we are finishing up the sun in Sagittarius this week, and it's going to move into Capricorn, and we're going to have the winter solstice. So this is a very major transition in astrology. Whenever we hit the solstices, right, the summer or the winter solstice, this is the peaking or the most deadened energy of the sun, right? And this is a very extreme moment in our lives where we are all still trying to figure out where in the hell we're going. The reason why I say that, Mercury's coming on top of Pluto this week. The sun's still in Sagittarius searching with a Saturn in Sagittarius for the first time in about 28 and a half years. There's all this energy with Neptune squaring Saturn. There's the Pluto-Uranus square, which have been coming closer to each other for the last time. This will be the closest they come to each other in, well, a long time. So we're talking decades, multiple decades, almost 100 years. So it's kind of like this, major testing ground still. And a lot of it has to deal with the tests of how well you're able to handle your life in the middle of blind corners and really trying to dig up information, and how that can sometimes be difficult on us, and how we really have to start to create the story in our life. We have to go on the adventure. We have to force ourselves to kind of expand and grow in areas where we might be scared to. And I think that this is a time for us to ask the universe for an acceleration. It's okay to ask the universe for acceleration in your life. It's okay to ask your spirit guides for a higher calling now in your service to the universe, in you being able to figure things out and look for clues. This is a time where it's a treasure hunt. And the reason why I say that is the sun's going to enter Capricorn. And the sun's going to enter its fall position, right? This is where the sun comes to its most deadened state. Capricorn is a sign of very serious decisions and wanting to understand what we're doing. And very interesting to see, the sun in Sagittarius with Saturn there really showed how hard it is for us to remain positive, optimistic. We had the sun square Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter's in Virgo. It's not in a very strong position. It's in a sign of criticism. We got the North Node in Virgo. There's this realism that we're in. And remember, it's the battle of Pisces and Virgo in the nodes right now. So there's this battle of confusion and trying to find reality. At the same token, this is also a week where the sun finishes in Sag and has a big quarter square of the moon. So there's going to be this big highlight of the lost energy. The big highlight of the Saturn square Neptune is happening this week. And that's why I'm bringing up this lost energy this week. And I think that it's so important to ask for acceleration from your guides this week in figuring things out. Mercury is going to stop, well, it's not going to stop, but it is going to hit its shadow period, but it's going to stop over Pluto, and this is going to be exactly where Mercury will retrograde back to. So we're about to hit Mercury's shadow coming into this weekend, which means Mercury is coming into a weird position, because Mercury goes retrograde on January 6th, and when it goes retrograde, it's going to come back all through January and come back into Capricorn and come back to this exact position of where it's going to meet up with Pluto, which it signals to me this buried treasure. We're all looking so deep inside for what is it that we are going to do with our lives? Where are we going to go? Where are we figuring things out? This is also about big, business aspects in our life. Where are we going to go in our achievements in our life? Where are our goals going? I mean, this is a very powerful time for us. This is not a simple time because Capricorn, it wants to figure things out. It takes things really seriously, and already having kind of I don't want to say a very easygoing Sagittarius where it's the last bit of fire we have. We then come into the Saturn-ruled Capricorn energy, which is very cold and it's very, realistic. And when you're already dealing with a heavy realism with Jupiter in Virgo and North Node in Virgo, wow, we're coming into just we are extremely serious about what's going on. Mars is also finishing here in Libra. It's going to be here through the rest of the year. And Mars in Libra is not at its strength. So when you actually start to look at the astrology, we're coming into very weak energy, or what I would call opposite energy. Jupiter not in a strong energy, right? It's in Virgo. The nodes not in very, I would say, great positions either. I mean, they're all right. I would say the North Node likes to be Mercury ruled because it's exalted in Gemini. But I think it's very difficult in Virgo because it's difficult when you have a South Node so far away with Neptune and Chiron and Pisces, and this is dealing with extreme sensitivities in our life, and having to heal sensitivities right now is very difficult. We've got Venus in Scorpio, which is at its detriment. It's not a good position for Venus. Venus does not like to be here. We've got Mars in its detriment. Well, it's not. I would say it's at its detriment too as well. Then you got the Sun in its fall position. Everything is not in its greatest position. Plus then you got Mercury, Capricorn, which is, it's kind of neutral there. So really there is no planet. I guess the only planet that really is doing anything that's in a happy kind of place, I would say, is Uranus. But even Uranus kind of has a difficult time in Aries because it's so egotistical and so on its own that even Uranus over there is kind of I'm having to focus on myself in the group opposed to having to put groups together. And, so we're coming into some really weird astrology here. I just got to be completely honest with you. And it's all about finding buried treasure in yourself, because I think that we don't know exactly where to go, and it's almost like we need to find clues. It's a little bit like the movie National Treasure, where you're looking for all the symbols constantly, and it's like every symbol that you find takes you to another symbol, and then you got to find another symbol, and it almost gets so distracting and so annoying, and there's this kind of angst that's built up, I think, in all of us of where's this going and what's happening, and I need to know what's going on, and I need to figure out where things are going. And it's all right in the holiday season, which is totally where we're trying to retract and trying to, enjoy our time, which I'm not saying this isn't a time where you can't enjoy, but I am telling you that this is a time where the energy is all backwards and it's all off and it's all not very aligned very beautifully. And so that's why I'm asking for you this week to call on your angels, to call on your guides, and to call on God to ask for assistance to help you this week, because I really feel that as Mercury comes over Pluto, it's going to come over it a couple times. So if you think that you have found the buried treasure yet you haven't, there's going to be more clues to look at, and there's more to unveil, there's more conversations to come up. The positives in this week is Venus is going to trine over to Pluto, or sextile over to Pluto, which is meaning that I think relationships are going to be the only place that really we are really exposing our rawness. We're really going deep in. We're really, starting to find out what it is that we want out of these partnerships. This is also looking at our wants, our needs, our desires. It's come out to this honest to God truth of what we want and what we don't want. And the only way I could describe this week is you got to keep searching, but now you got to kind of get on some sort of road now. There's no more, kind of lost in the woods anymore allowed. It's once the sun comes into Capricorn and we switch into this energy, we're going to have the sun, we're going to have Pluto, we're going to have Mercury all in Capricorn. And these three energies together really are searching for a road. And when you got Saturn there, which is hanging out, and it's now in Sagittarius squaring Neptune, and there's all this energy building with Neptune coming on, direct and coming towards it all. It's this fog that all comes up, and it's this realization that we need to get going, that we need to figure things out. And it's relationships, and it's redefining partnerships, and it's redefining what you want in your life that will help you get back on the road this week. And asking the universe for faster activation, because this is a time where everything is not at full power. I hate to be honest. So this is not a great time for it all to go the way you might want it to go. I just got to be real. When you see all the energy like this, in astrology, there's something, I guess I would call it my own, like the astrology scoreboard, right? And so every planet has its power, right? You know, the sun's its most powerful in Leo, the moon's its most powerful in Cancer, you know, Mercury's most powerful in Gemini and Virgo, right? It's got these powers that they have. But when you look at the astrology right now and what it's about to step into, it's all going to be in its most difficult power positions, meaning at its most lessened state. And when you see all of this together happening at the same time, and especially with this moon square that's highlighting Saturn-Neptune square, and especially the end of the Pluto-Uranus square, which is, this is the last week of it officially at its closest. This is a time where we cannot fall apart. This is a time where you can't fall apart in yourself. This is a time when you got to realize that the energy is just not fully there. And I think that we need to find, you know, within that strength, that courage, and find a way to get on the trail. And it's you know, it's not easy being a goat, or it's not easy you know, out in the world and having to just get out there and do things and get on the trail and work it and make it all happen. It's not simple. It's not simple. Like, Capricorn is where we have to reach the top of the mountain. You know, building a skyscraper is not easy, and I think that this is teaching us patience, which is going to be very difficult for us, I think, because, you know, I think we're all at a time where we're so over the energy of the year, because whenever you get to a Pluto-Uranus square and Neptune square, Saturn like this, you know, answers, especially with Mercury on top of Pluto, and confusion and wanting things to happen with this desire of Pluto and Venus meeting up, and Capricorn and Scorpio. They're very want and needy and earthy and watery, and they want to have it. Oh, it kind of is not pretty. But I want to end this with a positive note, that it's pretty if we ask for it from the universe. It's pretty if we learn that the prettiness is in the things that, okay, this is the best way to describe it. The packaging that everything is showing up in might not be packaged the way you want to see it and like it. But believe it or not, it was put in front of you because it is the most beautiful inside, emotional, beautiful adventure of your life waiting for you. It's almost like if you're celebrating Hanukkah or Christmas and you get a gift and you see the wrapping paper and you're like, oh, that's for sure just like a coffee maker or something, and you already got one. Or, oh, you know, that's just, you know, a wiffle ball bat, you know. It's like you can see the little ball at the top with the baseball bat, you know. It's like, and you were expecting a bicycle, you know, and you're like, oh, geez, man, what's going on? You might not realize that maybe it actually isn't a wiffle ball under there, because I think Saturn, Neptune, and all these energies is teaching us to learn to explore and to see what's really underneath and go with it. But more importantly, that the gifts that are given right now from the universe, even though they're not at the full potential or the full beauty, right? Because whenever energies are at their full capacity, they're at their full energy. We're having it all at their lowest energy. So to me, this is saying that we're having to deal with life and take things at a lower level and ascend them higher, instead of, you know, getting things at peaked levels where it's only a downhill slope from there. This is actually allowing us to receive things and bring them up higher, meeting a relationship that you were like, well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, and actually seeing this thing rise to beauty, opposed to having like the most perfect thing that you've ever seen in your life show up in your life at your front door and be like, here it is, and it's just really just a downhill journey from there. I hope that makes sense. But don't lose it this week. This is a testing week, and that you're not going to have all the answers. There's going to be clues, there's going to be things that show up, but then it's going to go deeper. And there's more to look at. Plus, you got to get ready. Mercury's getting ready to square Uranus as well. Uranus is starting to station coming up here in the next week. And we're getting ready for this big full moon in Cancer that's going to come on Christmas. So don't lose it right now. And try and hold it all together. This is not a time, I think, to make crazy moves. Even though you might feel that way. There's not going to be, if you do, there's not a lot of energy behind it. And you're going to be out there in the cold, kind of like the German soldiers going into Russia had to do. I don't know why I keep getting that. That's what the universe keeps bringing me, that image all the time lately. And if you're on my app, I actually did my weekly intuitive, and I had brought up New York City, and that I thought a big story in New York City was going to come out of chaos. And it was so interesting to see that it was this school thing. But the other image I keep getting right now for all of us is not to go into a war, go into a battle, or go into life into a place where it's going to be too cold and too much, and we're not going to be able to handle it all. We need to make sure that we have the right support and the right people there behind it. So I think that that's super important as well. So make sure that you join me on my apps at the Apple and, of course, at the Android store. And you can get my December horoscope at my website, inclusiveastrology.com. And, of course, if you want to get a one-on-one reading with me, you can always get that at my website, inclusiveastrology.com as well. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for sharing these reports. And for all those people that commented on my Facebook about the post that I put up, I really appreciate it, where I got really deep and I opened up. Has been a very deep and vulnerable time for me in my life. Has not been very simple, just like I think it's not been simple for a lot of people. But I appreciate all your support, and thank you so much for sharing these videos, as I really am trying to get these videos out more to people, and to get these uncut, to people to start to be aware of what's really going on and understand the kind of times that we're in. Thanks so much, I appreciate it, and I will see you on the next Uncut.